Alright, I want to kind of make something just a little quickly because I feel like a lot of people were expecting one thing and then didn't really get it. And I also feel like this is a topic that even Maximilian Dude could honestly really talk about way more in experience and highly and more detailed than I could possibly ever talk about it. But a lot of people watching the whole Xbox and Bethesda conference pretty much were hoping that Killer Instinct would come back and make some type of return. Obviously, it is one of the most hyped fighting games that has came back in recent memory. Well, kind of recent memory because it's kind of retro now, 2013 in a way. But definitely a lot of people wanted to see Killer Instinct come back. I ain't gonna lie, been wanting to see it come back myself. Been a fan of it since the old Super Nintendo. But, you know, it hasn't came back. And a lot of people is kind of mad and kind of not necessarily, understanding why isn't it not coming back. Well, there's a few factors already, which is number one, and I say this, and I think Phil even said this before, was the fact that they don't have people to make KI at the moment. And yes, whatever was rumors were running around saying that different studios, maybe a Japanese studio was handling Killer Instinct or whatever. There's no hard evidence about that, which is, at least to me, still saying that Killer Instinct is not in the work yet. So, it may be in the work, it may not be, who knows? I couldn't even possibly tell you. And when it comes down to things, they also said that they didn't necessarily have the same type of team that would be passionate to work on the second Killer Instinct game, even though they know, Microsoft even knows that they want to make another one. But they just don't have that passionate team. They want to do it right because there's so many things that Killer Instinct in 2013 did right and, really pushed ahead with, fighting games with. And there's so much things that they honestly did that they can't not afford to flop and fail when it comes to Killer Instinct 2 whenever that even shows up. But one of the major things, at least in my thinking of why they wouldn't show Killer Instinct at this point in time, and it would honestly make sense and it will be kind of a bad decision to show it at the moment, at least to me, is that because Street Fighter 6 is a thing. It is in existence, and Street Fighter 6 is going as hard as they possibly can with how the game is going to be and bringing back like the personality of what Street Fighter can potentially be and all this type of stuff. They're trying to make Street Fighter like actually something that people would like to play, even from a casual perspective. And as I said before, I'm pretty hyped for Street Fighter, and usually I'm not necessarily all that hyped for Street Fighter, to be perfectly honest, but in this case, I absolutely is. But think about it, especially from just a straight up, like, maybe more than average fighting game fan, honestly. If you have Street Fighter 6 and then you have Killer Instinct and they both come out pretty much in the same year or kind of closely to somewhat of the same time, you still have to spend time with Street Fighter 6 to understand how the game flows and works. If you add another fighting game on top of it, like Killer Instinct, that would honestly have such a very, number one, jarring and kind of crazy sell when it comes to the game and how, how many people are going to buy it, because there might be people that might buy one game over the other and, get really competitive in that way. And I don't think Microsoft or really Killer Instinct as a whole would want to do that. And you also have to think of the fact that, fighting game people gotta really dedicate time to, each fighting game as they kind of do things. Like there's fighting games that obviously that sometimes come out at somewhat the same time. Sometimes they can do that, and people just have to learn how to juggle with it. But if it was coming down to like Street Fighter 6 and Killer Instinct 2 to come out at the same time, that would be maybe a lot and a bit much for everybody to consume when it comes to fighting games as a whole, when it comes to solving it at one time. So I don't necessarily think that having Killer Instinct not show up, at least right now, is not a bad thing, because right now it just gives Street Fighter 6 the time it needs for the spotlight to come up. Then maybe at the Game Awards, maybe then Killer Instinct could come up if they have something ready, but only at that point would I think that would be pretty good, or at least show it next year, sometime next year, if they are working on Killer Instinct. that will be also a decent time to, you know, bring the game back. That'll be actually pretty alright if that's the case. And then, you know, Street Fighter has their marketing pretty much out there, and everybody know that Street Fighter 6 is coming back. Then they'll give time for Killer Instinct to come out, and you know, with their announcement, they probably won't release the game until the year after. So you know, it'll give you time to play Street Fighter 6 and then Killer Instinct. At least that's my thinking. If they decide to, you know, say Killer Instinct is coming back, or at least announce that it's in the works, that will be my thinking space. But that's pretty much my crazy prediction when it comes down to things, because again, playing two different fighting games and playing them closely to the same window of each other when it comes to release, that would just again be a lot to deal with. Also, out of subject honestly, but I'm gonna talk about it anyway. But when it comes down to Persona, I know a lot of people don't care about Persona, but I'm gonna talk about it. Really glad that they finally are bringing back P3 and P4, and you know, bringing that on the consoles, especially on PS5. I mean, especially on Xbox Series S and X, bringing P5 as well. You know, that's something I didn't necessarily think I would see. I'm gonna make a crazy wild prediction right now, and I'm gonna call it. We will see Persona 6 at the Game Awards, or maybe a little bit earlier. It don't have to be a gameplay. It don't have to be even animation. It could be a teaser like they did last time. But I'm thinking that's where we'll see Persona 6. If it doesn't show up, wasted opportunity, and that just, you know, dropped the ball immensely. But I think we'll get Persona 6 as well at the Game Awards. I feel like the Game Awards is going to have a bunch of stuff this time around, hopefully, and not trash. Hopefully the Game Awards this year will be good and not as trash as The Last of Us Part 2. So that's all I gotta say about that. But anyway, that's pretty much what I want to talk about for this one, so hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the notification, or anything else. Also follow me on Twitter, TikTok, and Let's Know Next channel. Patreon is available as well. And until then, it's been Jay, signing off. How was that?